The stranger in the night. The night was cold, and the forest was silent except for the soft sound of the wind moving through the trees. John sat alone in his small wooden cabin. A single lamp on the table gave a weak yellow glow, pushing back the shadows that pressed against the windows. It was late, far past midnight, yet he could not sleep. Something in the air felt wrong. Something was different tonight. He looked outside again. The sky was dark, but far in the distance, he thought he saw a flash of light. Not lightning, not stars. It was strange, like a faint glow that flickered once and then disappeared. He rubbed his eyes and told himself it was only his imagination. But deep inside, he felt a weight, a strange pressure that made his heart beat faster. The cabin was quiet, too quiet. He picked up the book he had left open earlier, but the words no longer held his attention. His ears kept searching for a sound, any sound that might explain the feeling crawling over his skin. Then he heard it, a knock. It was soft at first, almost like the wood of the door had creaked on its own. He froze, staring at the entrance. The cabin was far from the town. No one ever came here at this hour. He told himself it must be the wind, but then it came again. A slow, careful knock. John stood, his body tense. His mind whispered warnings. Don't open it. Stay inside. But his curiosity pulled him forward. Step by step, he walked across the wooden floor, each footfall louder than the last in the silence. His hand hovered over the lock. He could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. Another knock, this time firmer. He swallowed hard and finally pulled the door open. At first, he thought no one was there. The night outside looked empty. But then his eyes lowered, and he saw her. A woman stood at the edge of the porch. She was tall, her figure slim, almost delicate, but there was something unnatural about her presence. Her skin seemed pale, touched by a faint silver glow under the moonlight. Her eyes, they were unlike any eyes he had ever seen. Large, bright, and filled with a light that did not belong to this world. Her hair fell down her shoulders, black but shining faintly, as if the strands carried stars within them. Her clothes were strange, made from a fabric that shimmered like liquid metal. She looked both human and not human at the same time. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. John's throat felt dry. Finally, she whispered in a voice soft as the night wind. "May I come in?" Her words were clear but slow, like someone learning a language not their own. John blinked, his hand still tight on the door. He wanted to ask 100 questions. Who are you? Where did you come from? But none of them reached his lips. Instead, he only managed to nod. The woman stepped forward, her movements smooth and graceful, almost too graceful. She crossed the threshold and entered the cabin. The moment she did, the air in the room seemed to change. It was warmer now, filled with an invisible energy. John shut the door behind her, though his heart told him he was making a mistake. She stood in the center of the room, her eyes moving slowly over everything. The table, the chair, the small fire, and the stove. It was as if she had never seen such things before. Silence stretched between them, heavy and uneasy. John cleared his throat. "Are you lost?" he asked. She turned her glowing eyes to him. For a moment, she did not answer. Then she tilted her head slightly, as if she did not fully understand the question. "I cannot stay outside," she finally said. "It is not safe." Her words sent a chill through him. Not safe. From what? But before he could ask, she moved closer to the table, her hand brushing the surface gently, almost with wonder. She seemed curious about everything, like a child discovering the world for the first time. John kept his distance, unsure whether to feel fear or fascination. The truth was, he had never seen anyone like her before. No human had eyes like hers. No human moved with such strange, otherworldly grace. The silence pressed on him again, and he could not hold back his question this time. Who are you?" She looked at him for a long moment. Her expression was calm, unreadable, but her eyes seemed to search his soul. Finally, she said only one word. "Liara." The name rolled off her tongue like music, strange yet beautiful. John felt a shiver run through his body. He didn't know why, but he could sense it. This woman, this stranger, was not from here. Not from the town, not from the country, not even from Earth. And as the night deepened around them, he realized this was only the beginning of something far larger, far stranger than he could ever have imagined. The visitor revealed. Liara stood in the center of the cabin, her silver eyes shining softly in the dim lamplight. She moved slowly, touching the edge of the table, the back of the chair, the old stack of books. Every small thing seemed new to her, as if she had never seen them before. John watched carefully, his nerves tight. He still wasn't sure if opening the door had been the right choice. She turned to him at last. For a moment, her gaze held his with such intensity that he felt his breath catch in his chest. Her eyes were not just looking at him. They seemed to look through him, as if peeling away the surface and reading his thoughts. He shifted uncomfortably, trying to steady himself. "Where did you come from?" John asked, his voice breaking the silence. She blinked, tilting her head as though the question confused her. Slowly, carefully, she replied, "Not here." Her words were simple, but the way she said them sent chills down his spine. He pressed further. "Not here? Do you mean the town?" Her lips curved slightly, almost like a smile, but not quite. "Farther than your town. Farther than your sky." John's heart skipped a beat. He didn't want to believe it, but deep inside he already knew the answer. This woman was not from Earth. He just didn't know how to accept it. Liara walked to the window and touched the glass with her fingertips. The moonlight fell over her face, making her glow even more. "Your world," she whispered, so quiet, so heavy. John frowned. "Heavy?" She turned back to him, her long black hair flowing like liquid shadow. "Yes, the air is thick. The ground pulls at me. It is strange." Her words made sense in a way that frightened him. If she was telling the truth, then she wasn't lying about being from farther than the sky. John cleared his throat. "You speak English well." Liara lowered her eyes. "I learn. Slowly. Not perfect. You learn it just by listening." She nodded. "I listen. I feel. I understand more than I say." Her presence filled the small cabin. She seemed calm, but there was something about her that made John restless. He wanted to ask her more, but he was afraid of what answers might come. Instead, he decided on something simple. "Are you hungry?" Liara tilted her head again, her expression unreadable. John went to the small shelf and pulled out bread and a pot of tea. He placed them on the table. She sat across from him, her movements graceful but uncertain, like she was copying what she thought humans should do. He pushed the bread toward her. She picked it up and studied it carefully before taking a small bite. The moment it touched her tongue, her eyes widened. She chewed slowly, then took another bite, and another. "This taste," she whispered. "It is alive, warm. I have not known this." John chuckled softly. "It's just bread." But to her, it wasn't just bread. She ate as though every bite was a discovery, something sacred. He poured her tea, and when she sipped it, her whole body seemed to relax. "I like this," she said simply. Something inside John softened. She didn't seem dangerous, at least not now. She seemed lost, maybe even lonely. "Where is your home?" he asked carefully. Liara set the cup down. For a long time, she didn't answer. Her glowing eyes drifted to the window again, where the stars shone faintly above the trees. "My home is gone," she said at last. Her voice was quiet, filled with something heavy, sadness, maybe pain. "I travel. I search. I do not belong anywhere now." The words cut into him. There was something deeply human in them, even if she wasn't human at all. "Why here? Why me?" John asked. She looked at him again, her expression unreadable. "Because you opened the door." The simplicity of her answer made his skin prickle. Was it really chance? Or had she chosen him for a reason he didn't yet understand? For a moment, neither of them spoke. The fire cracked softly in the stove, filling the silence. John studied her again. The strange shimmer of her clothes, the way her skin almost glowed, the calm but distant look in her eyes. There was no denying it anymore. She was not from this world. And yet, she was sitting here in his cabin, drinking his tea, eating his bread. As the night stretched on, John knew one thing for certain. His life would never be the same again. A shared meal. The cabin was small, but in that moment, It felt like the entire world. John sat across the table from Liara, watching her every move. She held the piece of bread as though it was a rare treasure, taking careful bites, pausing to savor each taste. To him, it was only food, plain and ordinary. To her, it was something far greater. The fire popped softly in the stove. The shadows on the walls swayed as the flames shifted, wrapping them both in a fragile circle of warmth. John poured her another cup of tea. She cupped it in her hands, staring into the steam with wide, glowing eyes. "This comforts me," she said at last. John raised a brow. "Tea comforts you?" "Yes," she answered simply. "On my world, food is not like this. We do not eat for taste. We take only what is needed. This is different. This is alive." Her words unsettled him, but they also made him curious. What kind of place had she come from, where food was nothing but fuel? He studied her again. She looked human in so many ways, but her presence, her voice, her eyes, everything about her whispered other. For a while, they ate in silence. John noticed how she watched him, not just with her eyes, but with a strange kind of focus, as if she was studying more than his face. Almost like she was reaching for something deeper. Finally, she broke the silence. "Tell me," Liara said, "how do your women show love?" The question startled him. He set down his cup, unsure how to answer. "Love," she nodded slowly. "Yes, on your world. How do they give it?" John rubbed his chin, thinking, "It's complicated. Everyone is different. Some show love by words, some by touch, some by just being there when you need them." She leaned closer, her glowing eyes fixed on him. "Words? Touch? Yes. A kind word. A gentle hand. Holding someone close." His voice grew softer. "It's about trust, about care. About choosing one person and staying with them." Liara tilted her head, as though turning his words over in her mind. She looked almost puzzled. "Strange. On my world, it is not the same." John's curiosity burned brighter. "How do your people show love?" For a long moment, she was quiet. Her hands folded around the warm cup, and her eyes glowed faintly in the firelight. Then she spoke, her voice calm, almost like a song. "We do not speak it. We do not touch. We open ourselves. We share what is inside, the heart, the spirit. There is no hiding. Two souls connect. They see all, the joy, the pain, the truth. That is how love is known." Her words sank deep into him. He felt a chill, but also a strange pull, as if part of him longed to understand what she meant. "That sounds overwhelming," John said quietly. Liara's lips curved in the faintest of smiles. "It is, but it is also pure. No lies, no masks." Silence fell again. John stared into the fire, unsure of what to say. Her world sounded beautiful, but frightening too. To be seen so completely, was that really love or something beyond it? He glanced back at her. "Is that what you want here? With me?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she broke off another piece of bread, chewing slowly. Her gaze never left his, though, and he felt the weight of it pressing on him. At last, she said, "Perhaps. I wish to understand. I wish to learn your way. And maybe you will learn mine." The room seemed smaller now, the air heavier. John's pulse quickened. The way she spoke, the way she looked at him, it was more than curiosity. It was an invitation, though not one he fully understood. Outside, the wind pressed against the walls, whispering through the trees. Inside, the firelight flickered between them. Two souls from different worlds, sitting at a wooden table, sharing bread and tea. It should have been ordinary, but it was not. John leaned back in his chair, tried to calm his racing thoughts. He didn't know where this night was leading, but one thing was certain: nothing about it was ordinary. Liara set down her cup gently. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" he asked. "For sharing this with me. This meal. This moment. On my world, such things do not happen. Tonight, I feel less alone." Her words struck him harder than he expected. He had been alone for so long himself. Now, across the table, sat a woman from beyond the stars, telling him she felt the same. In that quiet, John realized something. This night was no accident. Somehow, in some strange way, fate had brought her to his door. And for reasons he could not yet see, she had chosen to stay. The secrets of alien love. The fire had burned low, glowing softly in the stove. The cabin felt warmer now, yet John could not shake the chill in his chest. Liara sat across from him, calm and silent, her silver eyes watching the flames as if they whispered secrets only she could hear. At last she spoke. You said love is words. Touch. Presence. John nodded slowly. Yes, that's how it is for us. Her gaze shifted to him, steady and unblinking. For us, it is different. There are no words. There are no lies. There is only truth. He leaned forward, curious despite his unease. What do you mean? Liara placed her hand gently on the table. Her long fingers rested only inches from his own. The faint glow of her skin pulsed softly, like the heartbeat of a star. When two of us wish to know love, she said, her voice calm but filled with weight, we open the barrier between us. We share everything, not just thoughts, but the core of who we are. All joy, all sorrow, all memory. Nothing is hidden. Nothing can be taken back. John's throat tightened. He tried to imagine it. Another being seeing every part of him, the mistakes, the regrets, the hidden fears he never spoke aloud. The thought alone made his stomach twist. That sounds, he hesitated, searching for the right word. Dangerous. Liara tilted her head. It can be. If the soul is weak, it can shatter. If the heart is false, it burns away. That is why we choose carefully. We share only once with one. John leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. Once? Just once in your life? Yes, she said simply. Once is forever. Her words hung in the air, heavy as stone. John felt his pulse quicken. On Earth, love was fragile. People drifted apart. Hearts broke. Promises were forgotten. But to her people, it was unbreakable, eternal. He looked at her again. There was no doubt in her eyes. No hesitation, only certainty. You asked me, Liara continued, if I wanted this with you. I do not know yet, but I feel the pull. I feel something. John swallowed hard. He didn't know what frightened him more, that she might choose him or that she might not. The silence between them deepened, broken only by the crackle of the fire. John rubbed his hands together, trying to ground himself. If your kind shares everything, then how do you keep secrets? How do you protect yourself? We do not, she said simply. There are no secrets. There is no protection, only trust. Her calmness unsettled him even more. He thought of all the things he had locked away inside himself. His failures, his loneliness, his guilt. Could he ever let someone see all of that? Could he even survive it? Liara leaned closer, her eyes glowing brighter. Do you fear it? He exhaled slowly. Yes. Her lips curved slightly. Good. Fear means you understand. The firelight flickered across her face, making her look both beautiful and alien. She raised her hand, stopping just short of his own. The glow around her skin brightened, casting soft light between them. If I touched you now, she whispered, you would feel it. You would know my truth, my grief, my hope, my hunger. You would see the path I walked. You would see the stars I lost. John's heart pounded. He wanted to pull back, but at the same time, he wanted to know. He wanted to feel what she offered, even if it meant exposing his own scars. But she lowered her hand before he could decide. The glow faded, leaving only the dim firelight. Not yet, she said. You are not ready. Relief and disappointment washed through him all at once. He wasn't sure which was stronger. Liara turned back to the window. Beyond the glass, the stars glittered faintly above the dark forest. Her voice was soft, almost like a sigh. Your world hides love in shadows. Ours brings it into the light. Perhaps, together, we will learn what lies between. John said nothing. His thoughts spun like a storm. He didn't know if he could accept her way or if she could ever understand his. But one truth pressed against his heart. This night was no longer just strange. It was dangerous, and it was beautiful. As the fire burned low, he realized something else too. If she chose to share her bond with him, there would be no turning back. His life, his heart, his very soul would belong to her. Forever. And he wasn't sure if he was ready or if he wanted anything else. The night connection. The fire had almost died, leaving the cabin in half shadow. Outside, the forest whispered with the restless wind, but inside the silence was heavier, pressing between them like a question waiting to be answered. John sat still, his hands resting on the table, his thoughts caught between fear and desire. He could not take his eyes from Liara. She sat opposite him, glowing faintly in the dim light, her presence filling the room as though she belonged there, and yet did not. At last, she leaned forward. Her hand rose slowly, hovering above his, not touching, just close enough that he could feel the warmth spilling from her skin. The glow brightened softly, spreading across the table like a small sunrise. "Do you wish to know?" she asked. Her voice was quiet, but it carried weight. John's throat was dry. "No, what? What it is to be seen." The words hit him like a hammer. His mind screamed at him to pull away, but his body stayed still. His heart raced, but he did not move. He wanted to know. He wanted to see. Slowly, she lowered her hand until her fingers brushed the back of his. The moment they touched, a shock of warmth shot through him, but it was not pain. It was something deeper, something alive. The air seemed to shift, humming faintly around them. John gasped. Images rushed into his mind. Not his own, but hers. He saw a vast sky filled with twin suns. He saw cities made of glass towers, floating above oceans of silver water. He saw beings like her, tall and graceful, walking hand in hand, their eyes glowing like starlight. But then the images darkened. A world breaking apart. Fire across the skies. Towers falling into the sea. Screams that carried not through air, but through the soul. He felt her loss, sharp and unbearable, as if it were his own. He pulled in a breath, but the vision did not stop. He saw her alone, drifting through endless black space, searching, always searching. A longing so deep it hollowed her, a hunger for connection, for belonging. And then, as if the vision had turned, he saw himself, through her eyes. A man sitting in a small cabin, lonely, waiting for something he did not even know he needed. John's chest tightened. His heart ached with a mix of fear and wonder. He wanted to pull away, but he couldn't. Her touch held him, not by force, but by truth. Her voice came to him, not through his ears, but inside his mind. "Do you see me now?" "Yes," he whispered aloud, though his lips trembled. "I see you." The warmth spread deeper, flowing through his chest into his very bones. He realized she was opening herself fully to him, letting him feel her joy, her grief, her endless search for meaning. And in return, something inside him broke open too. He felt her touch his own memories, the ache of loneliness, the heavy silence of nights spent alone, the pain of promises lost. She saw it all. Nothing was hidden. For a terrifying moment, he felt naked, exposed. But then, something unexpected happened. She did not judge. She did not turn away. She accepted it all. Their eyes met, and for the first time, John understood what she had meant. This was love as her kind knew it. Not words, not gestures, but truth laid bare. Two souls seeing each other without walls. Tears burned in his eyes. He had not cried in years, but now they came freely. Liara's voice was soft, steady. "Now you know." He nodded, unable to speak. His chest felt lighter and heavier at once. The glow between their hands faded slowly, the visions retreating like waves sliding back into the sea. The cabin returned to silence, but it was not the same silence as before. It was fuller, heavier, alive with something unspoken. John pulled his hand back at last, staring at it as if it no longer belonged to him. He could still feel the warmth lingering, pulsing in his skin. Liara leaned back, her eyes dimmer now, tired but calm. "This is the bond. This is our way." John exhaled shakily. He could not find the right words. But inside, he knew one truth. He would never be the same again. The night stretched on, but neither of them moved. They sat in silence, two strangers no longer strangers, bound by a connection that went deeper than anything John had ever known. And though fear still lingered in him, another feeling had taken root, growing quietly in its place. Hope. The choice. The cabin was still, but inside John's heart there was a storm. His hand still tingled where Liara had touched him. The glow was gone, the visions had faded, yet their weight remained. He could feel her memories pressed against his own, a shadow of her grief, a spark of her longing. It was as though her soul had left a mark on his. Liara sat across from him, calm and patient, though her eyes never left his face. The silver light in them was dimmer now, softer, but no less intense. She seemed to be waiting, as though his silence itself was an answer she was willing to hear. At last, John broke it. His voice was low, rough. "Why me?" Her head tilted slightly. "Because you opened the door." He shook his head. "That can't be it. There must be a reason. Out of all the people in this world, why choose me?" For a moment, she didn't reply. She looked down at her hands, resting quietly on the table. When she spoke, her voice was like a whisper carried on wind. "Because I felt you. Before I reached your home, I felt your loneliness." It called to mind. Two empty places they find each other. John's chest tightened. He wanted to deny it, but he couldn't. He had lived alone for so long, burying himself in silence, telling himself he didn't need anyone. And yet, deep inside, he had always wished for something more. Liara leaned forward, her gaze sharp, steady. "You know now what our bond means. If you accept it, there's no going back. Your soul will be tied to mine. Your heart will never belong to another. You will carry my pain as I carry yours. Forever." The word hung heavy between them. Forever. John swallowed hard. "And if I don't?" Her eyes dimmed a little. "Then we finish this night, and I leave. You will remember me, but only as a shadow. And I will wander again, searching." The silence that followed was unbearable. The fire had burned down to glowing embers. The air felt thick, as if the cabin itself was holding its breath. Jean rubbed his face, trying to clear his thoughts. He wanted to say no. It was too much, too strange, too dangerous. He had lived his whole life protecting his heart. To throw it open now, to let someone, something, not even human, see all of him, it was madness. And yet, he remembered the warmth of her touch, the visions of her world, the way she had seen his pain and not turn away. For the first time, someone had truly understood him. No masks, no judgment, just truth. His mind battled with itself, but his heart whispered what his mind refused to admit. He wanted this. He needed it. Liara's voice broke into his thoughts, soft but firm. "You are afraid. That is natural, but fear is not a reason to turn away. Fear only shows that what lies ahead is real." John looked at her, really looked. Her glowing eyes, her calm face, her strange but gentle presence. She was not human, yet she felt more human than anyone he had known. "What happens," he asked slowly, "if I say yes?" Her expression didn't change, but something in her eyes brightened. "Then I show you. I share with you fully. And from that moment, we are one." "And if I say no?" he pressed. She leaned back slightly, her gaze drifting to the dark window. "Then dawn will come. I will leave, and you will return to your life. But it will not be the same. You will always wonder. You will always ask yourself what might have been." Her words cut into him like a blade. He pictured waking tomorrow to an empty cabin, the fire gone cold, her presence nothing but a memory. He pictured years from now, older, still alone, wondering about the night he let the universe slip away. His heart pounded. His mouth felt dry. He was standing on the edge of something vast, and whichever choice he made would change him forever. Liara's voice came again, softer than before. "Choose. Do not fear the path, only the silence of never walking it." John closed his eyes, breathing deep, trying to calm the storm inside him. When he opened them, her silver gaze was waiting. And though his lips trembled, though his chest was heavy, he knew the moment had come. He had to choose. Dawn and departure. The embers in the stove glowed faint red, casting long shadows across the wooden floor. The cabin was quiet, yet John's heart pounded as if it carried the weight of thunder. Liara's silver eyes fixed on him, waiting, patient but unyielding. He could not hide. She had seen him already, his grief, his loneliness, his secret hopes. He had felt hers too, heavy as a broken world. The bond was no longer a mystery. It was a door standing open, and all that remained was a step forward or back. At last, John spoke, his voice rough. Yes. The word was small, but it filled the room. Liara's gaze brightened, a soft glow rising in her skin, spreading like moonlight. She did not smile, but something in her eyes softened. Relief, perhaps, or quiet joy. Then hold, she whispered. She stretched her hand across the table. John hesitated only a moment before placing his palm against hers. The instant their skin touched, the cabin seemed to vanish. A rush of warmth spread through him, faster than thought. His chest tightened as light burst across his vision. Not fire, not pain, something greater. Images poured in, clearer than dreams. He saw her world again, whole and shining, before its fall. He felt her laughter, her wonder as a child beneath twin suns. He felt the pride of her people, the music of their voices, the love that bound them. Then came the darkness, war, fire, silence. The hollow years of wandering. The endless search for connection, for a place to belong. And through it all, he felt her heart, aching, fragile, but unbroken. At the same time, she saw him. She saw the weight he carried, the nights of silence that had eaten away at him, the small wounds that no one else had noticed. She saw the man beneath it all, tired, but still reaching, still hoping for something beyond his own walls. There were no lies here, no masks, only truth, raw and unshaped. John gasped, but he did not pull away. The bond sank deeper, like roots entwining in soil. Her warmth became his. His sorrow became hers. Their hearts moved as one. When at last the light faded, they sat in silence, still holding hands. The glow in her skin dimmed, but her eyes shone brighter than ever. It is done, Liara said softly. Now we are bound. John pulled in a shaking breath. His chest felt lighter, as though some great stone had been lifted. And yet, at the same time, he carried more than ever. Her pain was his now. Her loss lived inside him. But strangely, it did not crush him. It gave him strength. The night passed slowly after that. They spoke little, yet no words were needed. The silence was different now, full alive. He no longer felt alone in it. But as the first pale light of dawn crept through the window, Liara rose to her feet. John felt his heart lurch. "You're leaving?" he asked. She nodded. "I must. My path does not end here." His hands clenched at his sides. "But what about this?" He touched his chest. "The bond." Her eyes softened. "It remains. No distance will break it. You carry me now as I carry you." The words should have comforted him, but they felt like both gift and wound. "When will I see you again?" She was silent for a moment, gazing at the rising sun through the window. "When the stars call me back, or when you are ready to follow." His breath caught. He didn't know what that meant, but before he could ask, she stepped closer. She raised her hand, brushing her fingers lightly against his cheek. The touch was brief, gentle, but it carried more weight than any embrace. "Do not fear the emptiness," she whispered. "We are no longer alone." And then, as the first rays of sunlight spilled into the cabin, her form shimmered. The glow around her grew brighter, until John had to shield his eyes. When he looked again, she was gone. The room was empty. The fire was nearly out. The only sound was the wind through the trees. Yet John felt no emptiness. His chest still carried the warmth of her touch. Her voice still echoed in his mind. The bond was there, alive, unbroken. He stepped outside into the morning light. The forest stretched before him, ordinary and unchanged, yet he knew nothing was the same. One night had given him what he had never dared to hope for. Not just love, but truth. A bond beyond the limits of his world. And as the sun rose higher, John whispered to himself, "That night, I learned love is not only human. It is universal."